I have this video from Asmongold that is called Path of Exile 2 got a review. And I already kind of know where this is going because this is the IGN thing when they review the game. So maybe IGN gave Path of Exile 2 an 8, which is not a bad review. The problem is that IGN has given an 8 to stuff that is not even close to as good as Path of Exile. So I think that this is where this video is going, but let's see what happens.
PoE has received a review from IGN. Oh boy.
It only took an hour of playing Path of Exile 2's early access version to know I'd soon be firing up an Excel spreadsheet and saying goodbye to all my loved ones for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
Just when I thought I was out, the heartless maniac...
I've been playing this game every waking moment that I have off. Like, if I am free, I am playing this game. So it is true that that I said goodbye to social life or whatever because I am always playing. But I am not creating spreadsheets or whatever the fuck that is. I am just blasting in the game, dude.
At grinding gear games have pulled me back in with a sequel to one of my favorite action RPGs of all time. The gameplay, endgame
bad build, by the way.
Mechanics and insanely intricate build crafting all take massive steps forward. And even though it's subject to many of the usual early access jank caveats and suffers from some seriously stingy loot drops right now, there's already a lot to love about this fantastic, time-destroying ARPG.
That bro, 8,000 damage? Come on, man.
Brother Asmon, you are playing minions, bro. Minion is the autopilot class. Don't give me crap.
Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? Oh, damn.
Per all the genre's usual tendencies, you can expect to spend time battling armies of enemies in search of loot, taking down big, gross-looking bosses, and teleporting back to town to sell off your spoils roughly every 2 minutes.
That's right.
In its presently unfinished state, it takes about 60 hours of blasting your way through the first 3 acts of the campaign that are currently available of a planned 6, twice in a row before you unlock the impressively extensive endgame, where even more angry mobs and shiny gear waits for you.
The Countess has escaped with the beast.
Path of Exile 2 doesn't exactly rock the storytelling boat. It sticks with the usual tale of horrifying abominations which threaten...
You don't have to reinvent the wheel when you have something cool. Like, you go with the grimdark fantasy, you show some gruesome stuff, the world is going to end, you have big cataclysm, you have time travel, you have sci-fi, you have all this, you have tons of blood. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is awesome, right? You don't have to give me like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. This is cool, brother. As it is cool. So yeah, I like the story a lot in Path of Exile 2. Even if it is nothing revolutionary, it has a lot of cool elements that just by being there make the story cool. And I already mentioned them. And maybe there are more.
To destroy the world and immortal beings, treating mortals as pawns. But that...
I do think that the story for PoE is relatively compelling with the beast and then going back in time to talk to Doriani to try to convince Atziri not to consult with it. I think it's interesting as somebody who is a fan of PoE 1.
I didn't play the PoE 1 campaign to the point to know what the fuck was happening, so to me it is compelling even without knowing what the fuck was going on in Path of Exile 1. I did watch a couple of videos talking about the world or whatever to understand what was happening in PoE 2. So I understand the PoE 1 lore broadly, right? In broad strokes, but not really everything that happened. But even then, the Path of Exile 2 is really cool. You can jump into it without knowing. That is something cool that they did, by the way. You can enjoy the Path of Exile 2 campaign without knowing what the fuck happened in the first one.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Doesn't mean it's boring or without the occasional twist.
the largest soul core I've ever seen.
Getting to know the cast of characters and unraveling the otherworldly culture and history featured in each act
Spoiler,
is a
too bad.
particular highlight. I grew quite fond of Alva, a treasure hunter who loves adventure almost as much as she loves making quick exits whenever danger shows up. And getting to know the Marraketh, a brutal group of
Damn, what the fuck? Well, they hire the Suicide devs, the Suicide Squad devs to do color for the game?
Nah, bro. That is the dude settings. That is the dude settings because I've been in that place and it is not that red. It is red, but not that red.
Holy shit!
survivalist nomads was very compelling. We don't know what the second half of the story has in store, so the jury's still out on whether or not it'll stick the landing. But so far, it's off to a decent, if not entirely original start. And while Path of Exile 2 plays it safe with the story, it swings for the fences when it comes to ambitious gameplay. The result is one of the most irresistibly playable action RPGs to date.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
one
I
of the
think
most,
story
not
is
the
fine.
most.
It's good. I don't feel like it's... Is it better than the story in Diablo 4?
Yes.
I think the answer to that is yes.
After picking one of the 6 available...
And again, I like the IP more in Diablo because I like the Angels versus Demons things. That is cool. Yes, it is old, it is repeated. It doesn't matter. It is cool. It is fucking cool. Tyrael is a fucking cool character. Malthael is a fucking cool character. Bro, the Primevals are cool characters. So yes, the Diablo IP is really cool. But that is the Diablo IP. We are talking here about the campaign before versus PoE2. It is not the IP itself, right?
Classes with 6 more planned to arrive by 1.0, you'll start down the long path of making heads or tails of the incomprehensibly complex skill trees. They almost...
It's not incomprehensibly complex.
Exactly. It is not incomprehensible.
Guys, you just look at the stats, you think about what am I doing?
Exactly.
I'm doing lightning damage. Okay. I'm gonna search for lightning nodes and then put points in lightning nodes.
Not even a third of the 3 is relevant to what you are doing. You can just stick to your... Of course, there are complex, crazy things you can do that beginners don't know still, like me. I don't know half of the shit you can do with the skill tree. But it is not necessary. You can do your build without looking at the majority of the tree. And you just stick to what is close to you, what makes sense for your build, what makes sense for your class. Everything will be fine.
I'm running out of mana. Maybe I should look for mana nodes and put points in mana nodes. Talking about
seem like they were designed to be sarcastically dense as you slowly piece together a build you like. Like, just look at how big this thing is. You'll then bring those abilities to bear on all manner of zombies and weird...
Brother, that was the last rare to clear the map! That was the last fucking rare to clear the map! And I got overconfident because he was low life! And I face tanked him! And the motherfucker killed me! Thank God I just leveled, by the way, because if I didn't level just before he killed me, I would have lost a ton of XP. Motherfucker! Bro, that was the last one to finish the map at tier 11, dude. Fuck!
Monsters in a relentless hunt for loot and XP. That, if you're as eager to smash the next fleshy pinata open to see what's inside as I am, is prone to keep you up long into the night.
Yep.
Throw in the fact that maps are procedurally generated and offer a pretty high degree of replayability while also managing to feel somewhat handcrafted, and you're liable to lose yourself for the better part of a week, like I did. It helps that each of the classes offers a unique way to play that dramatically mixes things up to a much greater degree than other ARPGs.
I tell you, whenever I do's my fucking mercenary, it's gonna kill her way faster than that.
For example, choosing the dexterity-focused ranger will have you keeping your distance, dancing around the map, and most importantly, focusing on your evasion stat, which gives you a chance to completely ignore attacks that land on you.
Yep.
But if you ever do manage to get hit by something big like a boss, you're toast. For my part, I spent the majority of my time as a witch focusing on a minions build that let my thrall do the fighting for me. So I often spent my time just supporting my undead homies and shouting words of encouragement.
Skills.
The high level of gameplay diversity is really impressive stuff, and something I haven't seen Path of Exile 2's contemporaries achieve.
I think the Diablo 4 Necromancer is actually pretty decent. I'm gonna say it. I think that it's a decent rendition of the class fantasy of Necromancer. Yeah. I think it's okay.
It is.
I like PoE more. Sure. But I think that it achieves the fantasy. It's adequate.
And also, when I play Necro in D4, normally I don't play minions. I just sacrifice all the fucking minions. Next season, I will probably play the minions to my leveling build just to clear everything, and then I swap to the actual build that I want to play in another class or whatever. I will use the minion Necro as the starter, like the league starter or whatever.
Between the passive perk trees, your skill and support gem loadouts, the Atlas perk tree and Ascendancy tree, which are two endgame trees with even more effects to consider, and your overall equipment loadout, there are about a
He doesn't have any stash tabs. Oh man, that sucks.
Brother, thank God we had the sale, the stash tab sale recently, and I got myself like two stash tabs, like premium ones. Then I got the gem one, the currency one, of course, and a quad premium tab. This quad tab is fucking awesome, dude. You can put in here like tons of items. So now I want more of these quad tabs. But to start the game like with your first 300 coins, this is awesome for those few coins that you got with early access, dude. Awesome, dude.
Dozen systems to learn if you hope to master your character.
Yeah.
And in this case, that's great news. When you decide to play them more than casually, ARPGs are all about burying your face in complicated menus, searching for the most powerful possible combination of stats. And Path of Exile 2 delivers on this front even more than its predecessor. It might take a while, quite a long while, to figure out how each piece of the puzzle works, especially if you're diving in early before the hardcore crowd gets a hold of it and creates step-by-step recipes you can follow. But doing so makes for an awesome time if, like me, you're into that terribly nerdy business. Where Path of Exile 2 definitely falls.
I think that we need to stop talking about how complex this fucking game is.
Agree completely, brother. Yes, it is not that complex, dude. In fact, the complexity that it has is cool.
Maybe it's just me, but I think that if you just sit down and you read what the stats do, and you look what to do, it's not that hard.
It isn't, dude.
There's intricacies, but the complexities come to you at a relatively good pace. I think that this is one thing that PoE 2 does infinitely better than PoE 1.
Yes,
is that it introduces complexities of the game at a much more reasonable pace. It's one step at a time. Yep.
Short at the moment, however, is with its loot. That's not because the items you get are bad. Finding a scepter that let my witch summon even more undead minions was quite nice, for example. It's because it's incredibly stingy. There seems to be no protection at all, and ensuring the loot that drops is geared towards your chosen class.
This is one of the things that people that don't understand the game complain about. You can't complain that the loot is not tailored to your class because basically at its core, Path of Exile 2 is a classless game, and you can play any loot or any build or any gear with any character and with any class. They can't tailor the loot towards your class because that is against the core philosophy of the game. They have to drop loot for everything because you can do everything. There is no restriction. So why would they tailor something to something that isn't there in the first place?
And even if you find stuff that is, it's often not good or won't work with your build, since you'll frequently require highly specific items to improve upon it.
I get all my equipment from the vendors. Yes, when I was leveling up, I got all my equipment from the vendors. Now that I am in the end game, in quotes, I get all my equipment by trading. I trade for something that I like, that is better than I have. I wait 10 levels, 15 levels, and I trade again to like change to upgrade the last thing that I traded for, you know. And I sell. You know what is cool about trading in here? That is different in other games, that you can unequip it and sell it, because in other games the thing when you put it on, it gets bound to you. There is not bound shedding here. You can buy it, use it for 10 levels, and then sell it again. So it is so fucking cool, dude. So yes, in these levels now I just trade for my gear. I am level 80.
I think that's a good thing. I do. Because you can use trade and you can interact with other players and buy items from them.
Yep.
That's how it works.
Dodge this!
I didn't see a single unique rarity item drop until I had played for over 60 hours. And when I
solo self-on, by the way, you just don't play that mode of the game. If you handicap yourself and then you complain about the handicap.
Did, it was a bow that my magic-focused character had no way of using. You can always trade with other players for the gear you need, but it still feels pretty awful to grind your face off and not see anything worthwhile come of it, especially if you'd rather not interact with other people. If you plan to jump in at launch...
I don't want to play the game the way it's intended. The game's bad because it's not designed the way I want it to be. No.
Plus, you don't really have to interact with people, brother. If you have seen how a trade goes in Path of Exile, you go to the website, you whisper the person with an automatic whisper, you invite them to the party, you go to where they are, they give you the item, and you leave the party. You don't ever say anything to them, and they never say anything to you. And this all happens in 15 seconds. Like, you don't have to interact with anybody in here, dude.
They already buffed the loot? Yeah, they did.
Hopefully you really enjoy your first playthrough of Path of Exile 2's first 3 campaign acts, because right now you'll have to give them a second go if you want to reach the endgame.
Sure.
That's because instead of finishing all 6 acts for the early access build,
I have to say that I understand why they did the cruel thing, because it is necessary, because you don't have the other acts, and the experience will be much better when you have the other acts. But I have to say that repeating the 3 acts back to back is a slog. It is like the second time you are doing it. That I just want this to be over and go to the maps, brother. With having the other acts, it will be different. I know this is just temporal. This is for now. So I understand. I am not criticizing it, but I am saying that it is boring having to do it twice in a row. It is boring for sure.
grinding gear focused on the first 3 and wisely directed the rest of its attention.
I spent more time and content in the early access version of PoE that I spend in the Diablo 4 campaign.
Yo, Casually Filthy, my dude! How you doing, brother? Good morning, bro. I hope everything is cool, bro. I hope everything is cool, bro.
Finished.
To fleshing out the end game, so that it can be finally honed for the full launch.
Yo, Shay, brother! Morning. I hope you guys are doing great.
I'm not ready.
launch. That was a smart choice generally speaking, but instead of letting you beat the first half of the story and immediately advance to the post-campaign grind, it instead makes you play through the whole thing twice, with no changes in the second run, aside from scaled-up enemy levels. Even though I enjoyed the story, playing it all again back-to-back just to reach an arbitrary character level makes things unnecessarily repetitive at the moment.
I think this is a really, like, I'm gonna be honest, I think this is a really silly thing to say in the context of a game being early access. I think this is really silly.
Yeah, how I said earlier, exactly.
The game's not finished, and it's stated as that. If you play an early access game and you expect it to be feature complete and have all the content in it, you have played yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's annoying to run it twice. I don't even think it's that annoying. Like, maybe it's just me. Like, maybe I'm just a stupid idiot. But like, I enjoyed running Act 1 again on my Witch. I already finished it.
I need more time.
Thankfully, once you do manage to progress into the endgame, you're in for a good time.
Yeah,
Path of Exile 2 is already surprisingly fleshed out on this front. The main course is the Atlas, a massive, procedurally generated map that lets you explore nodes to reach objectives, including mysterious
awesome, by the
merchants,
way.
hidden boss fights, and more surprises lying in wait. While very similar to the original's endgame, this version expands and improves on virtually every aspect, and has been a complete blast to explore. And I could already see myself dumping hundreds of hours into it. Beyond that, there are trials that pit you against special objectives and challenging modifiers to unlock powerful rewards and progress down your ascendancy perk tree, as well as an endgame boss that serves as the final gauntlet for Path of Exile 2's
Haven't doubled much with Mace's skills for Stampede and Leave Slam together is basically you being Hulk. Yes, I have seen people crushing stuff with the Stampede, brother. And Stampede is a really cool looking ability, dude. But you know, I am trying to make my own build, making my own thing work. But yes, that Stampede thing is looking really cool. What I am doing basically is rolling a slam to break armor. The thing is that these minions die immediately, but with rares that they take the hit, I break the armor and then I destroy them with the Sunder that critically hits on people that are with the fully broken armor, and it hits hard as fuck. So that is basically my build. For the mobs, I rolling a slam. And for the rares and bosses, I do rolling a slam to break armor, and then I kill them with Sunder.
Most dedicated adventurers. It's an impressive amount of content.
Like so?
Exactly. So why is the camp like I don't see
like
how you can say that and then say the campaign is somehow like too like having to do it twice is like unreasonable. The trial's whack as fuck though. Oh, as a monk? Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, as a witch and as a sorceress, everything's fine. I'm good.
Fuck sorcerers.
That said, a robust endgame hasn't saved Path of Exile 2 from much of the usual jankiness that comes with early access. I saw everything from the minor stuff like frame rate hiccups to the extremely infuriating stuff like that time a patch deleted all of my skill gems, support gems, and my best weapon. Per usual, I recommend waiting to hop in if you're the type of person to throw their keyboard out the window when things don't work as intended. It's actually a testament to how good everything else is that these issues didn't completely turn me off from continuing to play.
Unpopular opinion. Maybe. I think that you should not give numbered reviews for games that are not finished.
That is something that I can agree with, because why would you say, oh, this game is a X number, like comparing it to games that are fully finished and they have been released? It is unfair to the game that is not finished. But at the same time, if you give a high number to a game that is not finished yet, that is like a compliment, right? Like you are comparing my game to be really good compared to a fully released game, and I am in early access. So it has its pros and cons.
At its early access launch, Path of Exile 2 is already shaping up to be the sequel we've been waiting for. Everything from the refined action RPG gameplay to the surprisingly fleshed out endgame has seen major improvements, and the half of the story we've got so far shows plenty of promise.
Yeah, it's good.
Even
I'm
if
curious
the
what's going to
setting feels
happen.
A little generic in the realm of dark fantasy worlds.
So nobody's coming to save us.
The downside of playing in early access, though, is that you'll have to slog through all 3 acts twice to reach the endgame. The loot game still needs some major tweaking, and some mild to severe technical wonkiness threatens to take the wind out of your sails. But it's nothing that makes me concerned for the future of this expansive sequel.
Exactly. Game is awesome.
Even while we wait for 1.0, Path of Exile 2 is already a stellar way to lose dozens of hours and a clear leap forward for the series.
I think that if you're rating a game that's in early access, and if you have to do it, you need to contextualize the review around the gameplay design intention rather than the current content availability. So a game being in early access means that a lot of content isn't available, and there are some things that might not be working properly. But if those are the things that are problematic, that's a good thing, because that's why they have it in early access for.
And you know that going in. You know what you are getting into. You know that, oh, I am getting into an early access bullshit, right? Man, imagine when the game fully releases with all the other weapon types and classes, so much more to play with. Can't wait. Exactly, brother. I really want to play the druid. Well, everything. I want to play everything, dude. Like, I don't know. Oh, I don't have a gem to show all the other weapons. But you have even a flail, dude. A spear, a flail, axes, swords, daggers, traps, all kind of bullshit. Oh, brother. Shape shifting. This game is going to be the shit, dude. Disagree, they are charging money for the early access, not beta access. Yes, they are charging money for, but this is not the same an early access as, for example, in Diablo 4, when the game fully released, we had an early access of 3 or 4 days. You pay the extra to get into the game earlier, but it was the full game. Right now, they are saying outright, the game is not done yet. This is you are not paying for the game, because the game is free. You are paying to play early, basically, to play for since now. So we know going in that the game is not finished. We know going in that we are going to encounter stuff, because that is the deal. That is the deal, basically. They are not saying, oh, here, have this fully developed game for $30, because that is not the deal they are providing. Also, it is cool that you get the 300 coins in the transactions, right? Which is something you can use for PoE 2 and PoE 1. Early access implies that the game is ready for the public. Beta will imply things are a work in progress. Yes, we can. I also dislike the term early access, because it gets confusing. And the example I just said is one of them. Like the Diablo 4 thing was also called early access. In WoW, the World Within, where you also could play the expansion 3 days earlier, that was called early access. So the industry has to, like, make it a standard. What is early access and what is a beta or an early beta or an open beta or a closed beta? They have to make it a standard, because this is one of the cases where it can get confusing, because what you are saying is true. Some people might think that this early access means that the game is complete and they are just playing it earlier, and it is not what it means in this case. So yes, they have to, and this is not only for Path of Exile 2, this happens industry-wide. They have to standardize in the industry what early access means.
For more, check out our reviews of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, or Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
Man.
So they gave it an 8, which is not a bad, it is not a bad review. An 8 is pretty good. The problem is, and I bet that Asmongold is going to do it because he loves doing that shit, he's going to compare it to other reviews they have made, and they have given bullshit games a 9 or a 10. Probably.
I think that I think the rating is too low. I think the game, I don't see how you can, as a fan of ARPG,
I'm not ready.
I don't see how you can arrive at the conclusion that the game is not at least a 9.
This game is fucking awesome, dude. This game is fucking
I
awesome.
don't understand it. Its peak, yeah, I think it's really good. PoE.
So yes, that was a cool video, a fun, cute little video where Asmon reacted to IGN giving an 8 to. So he didn't do what I thought he was going to do, which is look up reviews from IGN, giving other games good reviews, but didn't they give like Dragon Age the Vilgar an 8-2 or a 9 or something like that? Like, brother, that game is not even close to Path of Exile 2 right now. That is in early access, and that game is fully released, so it is not even close. They gave Conquer a 7 and Dragon Age 9. Exactly, that is what I was saying, Maverick. Exactly that. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless ya. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.